Separate yourself from the other guys in town?
Stand out and command attention.
Talk to the professionals at Advanced Graphics about your vehicle wrap.
In fact, Advanced Graphics is the area's only certified wrap installer.
And they can wrap fleet vehicles. Get a wrap so your vehicle can become your best marketing tool. A mobile billboard. This month only, get $250 off a 3/4 or full wrap. But you better hurry. Call 717-709-9500. Visit advanced-graphics.com for more information.
Whether from all seasons, vacations, you need a vacation, and your plans to beaches or sandals starts locally with a call to 717-597-7412. Let Wanda take you away. AllSeasonsVacations.net.
Tonight, clear and cold, mid-teens. It'll be partly sunny on Saturday with highs in the middle 30s. Sunday, cloudy. Look for snow or a wintry mix developing, mid-30s. Wintry mix Monday, 35 to 40. At the McCraeWay.com Satellite Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Pat Pagano on Newstalk 103.7 FM.
Virtual consultations are now available for your air conditioning and heating needs. Virtual consultations with McCrae Heating and Air Conditioning. Safe, convenient, simple. Visit McCrae Way. Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM. For a very cold 29th of January, it is local and it is live. It is the Colonel on the call. And is State Senator Colonel Doug Mastriano. In service to his country, a warrior, an American hero, a college professor at the U.S. Army War College, and lucky enough to have him for a couple of moments once a week. Colonel, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever world you're living in.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly.
Oh, here. I am definitely not a hero, but I served with heroes.
Well, you're a hero in our world, so thanks for coming in, and we'll get to calls eventually. Evening, but we went down a path last week of defining some things for folks that just didn't understand the entire happened on January 6th and the days that followed after that, and your history a little bit. We spent a lot of time, and Michelle Jansen's back in studio with us. Hello, Jansen.
Hey, hello.
And we didn't get to everything last week, and we had an hour. We plowed through the entire hour of talking about what happened on January 6th and the days that followed there. We also went back in time to Gettysburg. And I think it's important to do kind of a recap for those that still have a bee in their bonnet and don't necessarily understand. If you're getting information from a tabloid paper out of Philly, if you're getting information off of Facebook, and we heard disturbing news that if you think Facebook is a news source, this is not your radio station, and this is not your world, quite frankly. It doesn't make... Facebook is not a news source, and much like a lot of PhDs... Now, Doug is a PhD, but a lot of PhDs will source other PhDs to formulate some PhD degrees, and the information that they're sourcing is foolish in the first place. So this is factual, this is straight ahead, these are answers that you need to understand, and it's in his own words, not someone else spewing and keyboard worrying themselves, thinking they're actually achieving something. We last left off with the Boogaloo Boys, whoever and whatever that is, but first, Jansen, let's do a recap of January 6th, and the fact is you didn't drive the buses to Washington, D.C.
I don't have a CDL. I can't.
Okay.
And I was not even on the buses, nor did I talk to anybody, nor did I address them. Some of the my colleagues in Congress have actually called some of the buses to, welcome people to a peaceful rally and, wishing them all the best. And we do have a First Amendment I kind of regretted that initially. Like, I wish I would have thought of, calling people. And the plan was to meet up with the folks on the buses from this area, from my district at Freedom Plaza.
You didn't pay for the buses.
The campaign, my campaign organized
the buses.
Yeah.
Okay, but people paid to go on those buses.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so
we put a down payment on, obviously.
And then we drive down for what is going to be what you had referenced in last week. We'd done these rallies before.
Yeah.
And apparently the President of the United States has done a lot of Make America Great rallies. And this was all that was supposed to be, was to gather and to commiserate.
To peacefully and patriotic, let your voices be heard, the president said. And for saying that, he's inciting violence. You think about the inconsistency. The argument from the left is obviously it's based off of lies. It's not even logical. And the left obviously usually does not have logic in argument. So the point of the folks of going to Capitol Hill was to let their voices be heard and to encourage Senator Cruz and the other congressmen and congresswomen and senators that wanted an audit or review of the electors and the election results from the 6 or 7 states that were up for controversy. And how is it helpful for our cause is just to show support for the president and like, hey, we need to take a knee here for a minute and let's just allow us to have a few days for an audit. And Ted Cruz recommended 10 days, and I think that was fair. So think about now you're going to have people storming the Capitol, which obviously weren't our people there, disrupting that constitutional process. It's not even logical. It doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. So anyway, with that lack of logic and reason, let's move forward.
You didn't go on the steps. You didn't go into the building.
Nope.
You didn't encourage anybody.
I didn't stand anywhere and talk to, rally the people. I was there. We walked. We saw it was not looking right, and we left. And my biggest and only sin, all these stories that have been weaved into these interesting tales, and the Democrats and the legacy media, they don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, was on my way out of the area. I was on First Street, almost back to my exit back to the hotel, which was 2 miles away, is, of course, we bumped into Rick Saccone, and many people took my picture that day. And, I'm like, no, I'm not going to get a picture. So what am I supposed to say? Hey, Doug, I barely know the guy. Let me get a picture with you. And not knowing that he was going to post it with some inflammatory words around it. I had nothing to do with it. I was leaving. And so for that crime, for that sin, the left has created this fantastic tale of conspiracy and insurrection. You think about how foolish that idea is. So you're talking to a man, and unlike these keyboard warriors here, and all these people laying these allegations, I don't know if any of them actually spent a day in the military. I spent 30 years, so most of my adult life in uniform, defending the same Constitution they're accusing me of trying to overturn. The insanity of that is ridiculous. And on face value, you just have to laugh at it. So we're at a point now where we just kind of laugh at these people. Like, what Kool-Aid are you drinking? It doesn't even make sense.
Right. And the same people that are asking for your immediate resignation, Doug. Let's not get at the facts, which you've already laid out for you. Let's certainly not have due process. Let's just hold our breath until we get what we want.
So I'll ask him what law was violated by me.
And by the way, the whole impeachment nonsense that's happening at Schumer's behest is falling apart fantastically, because there's if there was the incitement from the president, why aren't you running that clip over and over and over and over and over like the media would? Why aren't you taking your talking points? There are no talking points. Again, if you're a keyboard warrior and you're getting your facts from Facebook, please get out of the basement, put Mom's Doritos down, and let's have a thoughtful conversation. Jansen, let's go to the Boogaloo Boy thing.
Yeah, because apparently one of the scripted talking points for people to ask the colonel is, why were you pictured with armed members of the extremist Boogaloo Boys group in Gettysburg on the 4th of July? Now, I remember that picture, and I remember some people making that claim. And I called your office. I talked to one of the folks there, a mutual friend of ours, and I just said, what is this? And they said, what are the Boogaloo Boys? And I said, they're...
I was like, too.
I said, as far as I know, and I have researched it since, it's a loose group of people that are not all on the same page, by the way. Some people just have adopted it. There's a lot of memes out there about it. Apparently there was gun enthusiasts, weapon enthusiasts. They were the initial group of this. And they adopted wearing Hawaiian shirts. And then there's some others that are anti-government that kind of like also the idea of weapons. They're fascinated by guns, and they kind of adopted it. And others, I think, didn't even understand all the basis for that and just kind of like maybe I'm standing up for patriotism, I'm going to wear Hawaiian shirts, that they really don't have a deep understanding of the other people. So it's very, very loose association of people. Sure. The actual Boogaloo Boys are not anyone that respects the Constitution and, is fighting for smaller government and following the Constitution. That the group that really calls themselves that and has caused some problems, a very small number of them at different times across the country, not in Gettysburg on the 4th of July, by the way. They don't jive at all with your position or any of the reasons you were down at the Capitol that day. So let's just clear that up. But as far as hanging out with the members of the Boogaloo Boys, which I don't know how anybody knows who those people were or whether they were actually members of a group that really isn't a single group.
Sure. So that picture was the 4th of July, of course, when there was threats. And law enforcement couldn't tell us if they were real threats or not. So we assumed that there was going to be an assault on the memorials there. And there is precedent for that. And, of course, we saw the destruction of monuments in Philadelphia and in Pittsburgh. And the left was quiet because it's okay. And we saw it, of course, across the state and the nation as well in Portland. And they took the U.S. Grant statue down in San Francisco. We saw the destruction down south. But so just because somebody's wearing a Hawaiian shirt these days, they're a Boogaloo Boy, really? And so actually that picture, the left, and I know this hurts people's feelings, but I'm finding this out to be truer and truer every day that goes on here. The left is willing to lie, cheat, and steal to advance their agenda. And this is another example. How do you know? Do you know the names of the people in that picture? How do you know they're Boogaloo Boys? Or are you just commenting on their fashion choice for that day, and therefore you're a hypocrite and judge? You're a self-righteous, arrogant person casting aspersions on innocent people. So I knew some of those folks in the picture beforehand, and then I got the names of the other folks there to find out what was going on, and none of them are part of that group. One of them's retired law enforcement. He actually had that shirt on because he was concealed carrying. And there was a retired military in that group as well. So it's just it's a leap to judgment. And the left is really, they really suffer from a severe brain damage of guilt by association. Say I get my picture. I've been photographed with thousands of people, literally. That's no exact, thousands of people this past year here. And so I'm supposed to stop and say, okay, tell me about your political affiliation. Are you a member of any extremist groups, left or right? Of course not. And, so I'm going to be some kind of snooty, arrogant, politician. No pictures. I don't know who you are. I don't like how you're dressed. You have an Hawaiian. Just the utter idiocy and madness of this whole assertion here. There's no reason or logic behind it. It's just... They put out stories out there, and they can't be even taken seriously. And I'm happy to engage with the media. You guys, grilled me last week, and I've been on TV a bunch of times answering these questions here. But if you're from print media or from a media source here that's all about hit pieces and ahas, why would I do that? Why we all want a fair shake, right? And if you're leaning left, I tend to think you're not going to give me a fair shake because you're blindly biased. WITF, the PBS station.
paid for by you,
taxpayer dollars,
that can run advertising, and it's
keep going, brother.
Shocking. So you have it taken out of your tax money, then they can sell advertising, and then they beg for money on television and radio. It's a preposterous scheme.
Am I right in saying they received about $700,000 from DCED last year, which is taxpayer dollars?
I have no idea how much money they receive.
Department of Community Economic Development.
Super.
Taxpayer dollars. For sure they receive a good chunk of taxpayer dollars. And then I saw this terrible piece they put out today, those who advance those unsubstantiated lies about, voter fraud. I'm like, did you guys actually investigate any of the allegations out there?
Oh, wait a second, Doug. They didn't go to the Gettysburg rally or the Gettysburg hearings that you had on the Thanksgiving Eve and hear the actual testimony.
30 minutes from their building. They could not drive down.
Right. Lazy broadcasters that will not show up if it doesn't fit into their narrative, and it didn't.
So, yeah, of course not. And I did not know what was going to come out specifically from that hearing. Michelle, you were there. You had a great seat. And I didn't know what was going to come out. I didn't pre-screen any of these people that were coming in. That was like I'm hearing about voter fraud. Bring them in. Let's hear from the people. And we heard from the people, and my jaw hit the floor. And I was honestly foolish and naive enough to think that WITF and that maybe the Inquirer or maybe some of the big papers around the state here would actually show up and do a fair coverage of this and say, okay, we have questions now. We're gonna interview these people. We're gonna interview Leah from Delaware County and all these other people I had at the hearing, and it didn't happen.
Heck, they didn't even have to show up. It was live streamed.
Yeah, that's true.
It was handed to you.
How do we know it's not, baseless claims? How do you know? Who did the investigative journalism? Of course not. They're taking the DNC talking points and spewing them forth. And when I'm seeing a taxpayer-subsidized station up in Harrisburg that has this propaganda piece here, is basing, the way they frame it. We want to talk and hold accountable those politicians who had advocated and advanced Trump's unsubstantiated lies about voter fraud. When we want to talk to them. So that's like going to it. Somebody who thinks they're journalists say, why do you beat your wife? How do you, their proposition is, you're a liar, you advance lies, why did you do that? Who would want to talk to somebody like that?
And how do we know that it's a lie if you won't even bother doing the work and asking the questions? And by the way, the Dominion machines, this is the same, have we had them into any hearings? I know they were subpoenaed, or pardon me, I don't know if they were subpoenaed. They were and talk about the machinery, and they didn't show up at the last minute, right?
In Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, and we still don't have. They still haven't shown up yet to these hearings. We're the taxpayer. We paid for the software.
They're customers. We're the customers.
We're the customer, and we wanted some answers, and they walked away at the last minute.
They said, we're lowering up, and we're not showing up for an oversight hearing that the House was holding. That morning, they decided we're not coming.
All we want to know, all we have is questions.
All right. No, see, that's the problem. They use logical fallacy quite a bit.
Yes.
And that's an overgeneralization, because what you can say about the broad scope of irregularities and questions and some testimony and sworn testimony that some people said that they saw fraud. If you look at the broad swath of it, I'm sure you can find some initial things that were said not to be fraudulent. We know that. There was a few things that were easily just maybe dispelled by somebody who thought they saw something at first or thought numbers were a certain way at first. And it wasn't that people were trying to be fraudulent. They had questions, and some of those questions did get answered quickly. That's a small subset of all the stuff we're talking about. Then there's other questions that were either never investigated or tried to get it to a court to move forward where they said you don't have standing. That's a substantial amount of the broad spectrum of questions and irregularities as well. So you cannot say it's lies overall. Yeah, maybe you can find one that maybe somebody didn't realize had been evaluated and explained, and maybe they still repeated it down the road because they had heard it and they didn't know it had been changed. Oh, you're a liar. No, you're somebody who didn't hear that part of it had been explained. So there's a lot of ways you can use fallacy to try to accuse your opponent of lying and committing fraud when really that's not the case.
That's not journalism.
No, it's not. And they didn't investigate. Truthfully, you can say uninvestigated claims of irregularities and fraud. That's what I think the vast majority is at this point.
I agree. And all we want is answers. And so for the governor to come out, and look, the Democrats are already throwing around, voter suppression, of their constituents in certain areas of the state. I'm like, what? Really? So it's okay for us to be suppressed across the state, but when you want to advance some kind of political agenda here, you're going to start throwing that old chestnut around, and there's no evidence of that. We actually have questions and some evidence of suppression and fraud, and the governor and the secretary of state and the Democrat Party of Pennsylvania refuse to acknowledge or even open up the books and be transparent. We're asking for transparency. A lot of the troubles here that we're facing could have been stopped in Pennsylvania and in the other states had there simply been an audit. If we had a governor of the people and by the people for the people, he would say, okay, look, I disagree with you guys. I think it was a perfect election, but I got nothing to hide. Come on and look at my books. Counties cooperate.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They refused.
Could have resolved a lot of this.
On the Tri-States News Talk, I'm just looking at some of the Facebook posts. There's a couple of real haters on you, Doug, out there. I mean, there are some real...
it's funny. I go to some of those guys' pages, and one of these clowns has a Dalai Lama quote, be kind whenever it's possible, and it's always possible to be kind. And I'm like, that's only true for people you agree with, because obviously you're not applying that to your own life.
Listen, we've... A couple of... they went to college a little bit. All right, I love. Looked at some college education at a local university, and then we've got F-bombs all over this. I want you hunted down. I want you locked up. Real evil anger here, and not a lot of thought going into Do you know what you're talking about? And as you've come on the radio station, as you had listen to the hearings in Gettysburg, it's accessible.
Yeah.
Spend a couple of seconds. It may not fit your narrative. You may be drinking
your mind.
the 46 Kool-Aid, or you may have been sold a whole bill of goods by the left that's using you like a piece of toilet paper. But trust me, you don't have all the facts, and to have you hunted down, by the way, or thrown in jail like the terrorists that you were representing. I mean, it's.
I actually fought terrorists most of my career.
Yeah, I think that's important. I'm glad you said that.
I defended this Constitution for these people to have those views.
You know the difference between an actual terrorist and some person sitting eating Doritos in the basement that went to Shippensburg for a couple of hours and calls himself some sort of a college-educated individual. I'm very worried about some of these people out there, Doug. They're awfully off the chain here. How do you? And we're going to get into some things in the next half hour about voting machines and the vaccinations here in Pennsylvania, and some of the meteor topics that you're addressing in Harrisburg. But how do you address people like this?
So I'm going to paraphrase from George MacDonald, the Scottish poet. To give truth to him who loves it not gives him more reason to hate it. I'm paraphrasing from that, and that is true. You cannot have a conversation with somebody who wants to get in your face, and that's the Democrat. That's the left. I'm going to say Democrat because there are good Democrats, but that's the left's approach, is to intimidate and bully. Look, I am not resigning. I work for the people of 33rd District. I had one of the largest turnouts in the history of the state here. About 100,000 people, almost 100,000 people, put me back in office. That's a huge mandate. When I only represent about 250,000, that's massive. And the overwhelming population in this district here backs me up. And so as long as the people stand with me, I'm going to continue to speak truth to power. And it might make some of the people on the fringe uncomfortable, but what do you do? So look, I turned down these inducements, the car, the sweet retirement plan and what have you, that the taxpayers cover. I don't do the per diem. And then after the election, and actually a little bit before, I'm starting to hear from people from across the state, from literally thousands of people. I've been defrauded. I have questions. I don't think my vote counted. What am I supposed to do for somebody? I work for the people. I'm not a politician. And my people are saying, look, we have a problem, Mastriano, look into it. And so I'm supposed to turn a deaf ear because it's not going to make me popular with a segment of society? No. I asked questions, and my eyes were open in Gettysburg, and I was shocked that it was far worse than I even knew.
The gasp heard round
Yes.
the world.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And what was that gasp? The whole room went. There was a shuddering gasp. What was that question and that topic?
So we were being briefed by a statistician, a retired Army colonel, and he was going through these numbers, and he said, in the early morning the next day after the election, there was a dump of almost 600,000 ballots. It was actually 570,000, and all those went to Biden. And he said at the same time that there was only 3,290 counted for Trump simultaneously across the state. And when he said, 99.6% in one drop went for Biden, that's when the room gasped.
Yeah, there was just statistical anomalies that just defied reason for what you would have seen. And again, asking questions, asking for an audit, not trying to silence anyone, not trying to say, we know we're 100% right, but this doesn't make sense. Please, can we have it explained? Can we audit? Can we look? That is what they were asking.
I will ask the people on the fringe on the left, when did Pennsylvania have a perfect election ever in our history, or the last 100 years here? And because every election, and let's not forget, every Republican election since 2000 has been contested in the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C. by Democrats. Every single Republican victory was contested on the floor of the and we didn't hear any outrage, and you're trying to overturn the election, and the first example of double delegates being sent out were Democrats from Hawaii in 1960. So the Democrats set all these precedents. We're following the same constitutional process. Okay for them, but we can't do the same thing.
All right, did we get so we covered the Boogaloo Boys. I got seconds left here before Fox to the bottom of the one more thing that we wanted to address there that we did speak.
Supposedly you also met with QAnon people in your office.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Oh, yeah. No. Supposedly you did. And again, QAnon members in your office. What's your current position towards this extremist group? Again, another group that's ill-defined. There's some whack jobs out there among the
They're
QAnon
making crap
people.
Up. That's just another Democrat left-leaning lie.
Yeah.
It's just a lie.
Or maybe somebody went and met with you, and then later on went out and they defined themselves as QAnon.
Give me some names.
But
tell me specifically who I met with and what we discussed.
And did you know? And did they identify themselves as QAnon to you? Apparently not.
All right, Doug.
It's just made up crap.
We'll let you hydrate for a couple seconds. I know Michelle's got a little bit more to get at here. Colonel on the call for a cold 29th of January. The Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM. Clear, cold mid-teens tonight. Partly sunny tomorrow, mid-30s. And then the wintry blend of stuff comes in on Sunday, mid-30s, and that continues into Monday. Meteorologist Pat Pagano talks it all through. You visit him and play on demand at your leisure when you visit newstalk1037fm.com. Home. Colonel on the call.
I won't give up the ship.
Talking about what matters.
This country is too great to throw over to communism. I love it.
On News Talk 1037 FM.
www.uscgboating.
Fox News commentary.
I'm Jimmy Fallon, and I'll tell you why we need to change the climate in Washington before we can worry about climate change. Next.
Time is running out to enter the Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares sweepstakes. Someone wins $50,000 every score change during Super Bowl 55. Touchdowns, field goals, extra points, $50,000. Plus, 2 grand prize winners will win $500,000 they could use toward their dream home. Hurry up and enter for free at RocketMortgageSquares.com.
No purchase necessary. S&DC of age of majority. Ends February 4th. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS number 3030. The NFL is not sponsored promotion in any way.
A new report shows that Joe Biden's climate change envoy, John Kerry, still owns a private jet, which means the guy lecturing all of us about reducing the size of our carbon footprint is walking around in a size 22 carbon footprint shoe everywhere he goes. This is like telling someone there's no smoking in your restaurant and then lighting a cigarette as you walk away from the table. Rules for you, but not me too. Am I the only one who's sick of all coming out of Washington? These are the same yahoos who told us we couldn't go out to dinner only to get caught eating in crowded restaurants. The same bozos who told us not to travel over the holidays by posting videos from the places they traveled to. The same buffoons who implemented a mask mandate on federal property only to get caught without a mask a few hours later. Now, some Democratic politicians won't like me calling them yahoos, bozos, and buffoons, but if they can't take their own rules seriously, there's no way we should take them seriously.
That's your Fox News commentary.
YTI Career Institute, enrolling now for medical billing and coding or respiratory therapy classes. Starting March 22nd, go to yti.edu and apply. YTI has everything you need to change your life. yti.edu. Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM. More Colonel on the call coming up. State Senator Doug Mastriano in a second here at 5:34. Kubota drives your traffic. The utility tractor, a powerful, versatile, and built to do it all. 0 down, 0% APR, and save up to $1,000. And Tatum Tractor and Equipment in Hagerstown. Franklin Tractor and Equipment Chambersburg. Fulton Tractor and Equipment in McConnellsburg. For your Kubota and your path on Lincoln Way East and West, Buchanan Trail East and West, through the Turnpike and on your way up and down Harrisburg, Chambersburg to Hagerstown. We're looking at a very good commute. A couple extra cars out there to enjoy a Friday evening out grocery shopping, of course. Oh, the big storm coming in on Sunday. And then you've got some errands to be had this evening. If you see an accident, incident, or tie-up, you're always kind to share what you see. 5:35 now at the Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM and 29 degrees for a Friday evening.
This Tri-State News Update from Porter's Carpet and Furniture in Shippensburg, welcoming you to the new year. Plan to shop Porter's for all your furniture needs and visit their flooring showroom for any style of flooring for your home or office.
Starting on Monday, February the 1st, restaurants in Maryland can stay open past 10 p.m. I'm Susan King in the TriStateAlert.com newsroom. That is good news for the restaurants. Governor Larry Hogan says the decision to relax the restriction follows several weeks of improving COVID-19 test positivity rates. The Pennsylvania Department of Education needs some help with the summer SNAP program. You can go to TriState today for more. Congressman Republican Dr. John Joyce was at the Cumberland Valley Christian School in Chambersburg on Thursday, visiting with the students there, his visit coinciding with National School Choice Week. Dr. Joyce spoke to the kids about public service and the founder's intentional design. Go to TriStateAlert.com today for more. West Virginia residents, you can sign up now on a new platform to be on standby for the COVID-19 vaccine. You'll have a chance to make an appointment Doses are available for your priority group. And if someone doesn't show up for an appointment or pharmacists are able to squeeze extra doses from vials, the platform can instantly contact the next eligible person on the list. I'm Susan King on the Tri-States News Talk 1037 FM and 1037fm.com.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Imagine hearing those words delivered to you. What's next? Tomorrow morning after 10, News Talk 1037 FM takes your legal questions with the experts from Cullen, Bartel, and Stewart during the Law Hour. Give up your right to remain silent and call in with your questions at 877-709-1037. Featuring the law firm of Cullen, Bartel, and Stewart. Tomorrow morning after 10 on News Talk 1037 FM.
How can you get those designer looks that you see on home makeover shows and magazines? Where do you get those unique finds for your home? What's their secret? Take your home from dated to designer at Gateway Gallery Auction. Find those shabby to chic statement pieces at a price you want to pay. At Gateway Gallery Auction, you can experience the thrill of a live auction, or if your time is limited, you can shop from home. It's easy to view items online. Got a question about size or condition? It's easy to get before you buy. Then it's easy to bid. It's easy to safely pick up your treasures. Gateway Gallery Auction, Kreiner Road, Chambersburg. Retail convenience at a wholesale price. For an auction calendar, visit gatewayauction.com. If you don't look, you'll never know what you're missing. This Monday, 10 a.m. auction time in person, Kreiner Road, or bid from home, gatewayauction.com. Preview this Sunday afternoon at 1. Bid on jewelry, furniture, antiques. So much to see. Start the adventure. Gatewayauction.com.
Buy, sell, or trade at Eagle Arms Productions Gettysburg Gun Show this Saturday 9 to 5 or Sunday 9 to 3 at the All-Star Event Center, 2638 Emmitsburg Road. Over 500 tables of antique and modern firearms and accessories dealers, including home defense, ammo, handguns, rifles, collectors, shotguns, and hunting and sporting equipment. Admission just $9. Don't miss it. That's Eagle Arms Productions Gun Show this weekend. For details on a coupon, visit eagleshows.com.
Satellite weather from YB Welding. Now hiring. Equal opportunity employer. Whether you're a seasoned pro or looking to apprentice, your future starts at ybwelding.com. ybwelding.com.
Tonight, clear and cold, mid-teens. It'll be partly sunny on Saturday with highs in the middle 30s. Sunday, cloudy. Look for snow or a wintry mix developing. Mid-30s, wintry mix Monday, 35 to 40. At the McCraeWay.com Satellite Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Pat Pagano on News Talk 1037 FM.
Virtual consultations are now available for your air conditioning and heating needs. Virtual consultations with McCrae Heating and Air Conditioning. Safe, convenient, simple. Visit McCraeWay.com. Tri-States News Talk 1037 FM. Bill DeMoss is hanging out in the background watching it all unfold. We got muscle in the room, State Senator Mastriano.
I'm intimidated.
Little bit of muscle. He's awfully relaxed as well. So we'll leave it at that here.
Don't make him angry.
That's right. Let's say hello to Michelle Jansen. Hey. And let's take a stab at some of these phone calls here this evening, Doug. I know there's a lot on social media that's happening out there, and a lot of folks that are rattling off about vaccinations, about there's business to be done in the state, and the whole program is based on the colonel on the call, because you can't get to your governor, you can't get to your lieutenant governor. We don't have Doc Raich anymore here. So before I get to Andrea on the phones here, tell me about Doc Raich here a little bit. She's gone, right?
Headed to D.C.
All
Bigger
right.
and better things. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, USA.
So
I say that because Dr. Levine's policies resulted in, at one time, almost 70% of the deaths in Pennsylvania from COVID are the failed policies sending sick back to the elder care facilities.
And we're watching also what's happening in New York with the governor in New York right now, and how the numbers in the nursing homes are of great curiosity, far underreported, and you can't help but think that at some point
that dialogue is going to translate here in Pennsylvania.
I fear it will. And look, so if this was a Republican governor, the media would be all over them for these failed policies. But to celebrate somebody as a Secretary of Health whose policies were so destructive and fatal to so many is very disingenuous and dishonest.
Okay, let's go to Andrea. Andrea has a question for you on Colonel on the call. Andrea, you're up. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, how are you guys tonight?
Not bad.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you for having me call, for allowing me to call. So I am from the city of Pittsburgh, and I watched the election, the conference or hearings or whatever last week with Kathy Bookbar, and I had caught like 10 minutes, because that's all I could watch. It was like every time they would ask her a question, she would either like defer or dodge or talk in circles and everything. And it had me thinking, whenever the election season was approaching, it was confirmed that we were going to have mail-in ballots. I had called the person who's running the polls in my area, and I had asked her, I said, okay, I've received like 7 ballots in the mail. I threw them away because I'm going to go in person to vote. And so she said to me, well, you need that paper ballot in order to vote. And I said, well, I don't know why. I mean, I've lived in this area for a long time. I'm registered. I'm a registered Republican, like one of 3 where I live. And I don't see why I need to take a paper vote if I'm going to vote. Are they using machines? What are they doing? And she's like, well, they'll have a machine for like people who are disabled and can't write or whatever. So she's like, there will be a machine for them, but then you have to go and then you're going to get a provisional ballot. And I was confused because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a registered voter. Why am I getting a provision? Because I'm not taking the paper ballot with the seal or whatever, the secrecy envelope. And so she had me frightened. Like, she had me scared because I'm like, no, my ballot, my vote must count. And if I'm going to be a provisional vote, then is my vote even going to be counted? Because provisional votes would have been counted last. So I went down, voted in person, and there wasn't a problem. Like, they didn't say that it would be a provisional vote. It was my vote. It went into the machine, into the scanner and everything. And so my problem is that nobody, and I have friends who are like in other areas of Pittsburgh and other districts, and they said there was no clear-cut way as to how the process was going to work. And I have a friend who worked in the polls, and he put on Facebook, he said, I am never voting again because of everything I witnessed. And so what I'm afraid of is now I'm watching like these executive orders being signed that they're just going to continue the mail-in ballot, and I'm scared because then why vote? Why should we even vote if they continue to do the mail-in ballot? I'm sorry, I'm like so passionate about this.
That's okay.
Hey, you're a good company, Andrea. That's all right. Let's let the Colonel chew on a little bit of what you've served up here. Doug.
And thank you for that. And this is the kind of call and email and messages we are getting in November. And I work for the people. That's how it's supposed to be. And so friends on the left or colleagues on the left, you might not like the questions being asked by the people, but if we're not doing the people's business and bidding, why are we even there? And by the way, we're a constitutional republic. We have representatives and senators. On the other side here, though, Andrea, that is the confusion and doubt and these ballots, you're supposed to ask for them. That's how Act 77 until the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania changed it. But you weren't supposed to get anything unless you asked for it, and that was supposed to be black and white. And there's supposed to be matching signatures, which would infer a form of ID being needed to get it or verify that. And all that was thrown out the window, of course, 17 September. But it's these kind of issues here that have compromised our election system, or at worst, at best, it raises a lot of questions that need to be addressed. And this is a statewide issue. Obviously, in the blue counties, we have a lot of questions because where's the transparency? You should have confidence as an American as a registered voter, that you have one legal vote, and that you walk into any polling station, the one that you're assigned to, and you vote, your vote should count. Not fear it's going to be provisional, and not sure it's going to make it to the final tally. That's unacceptable.
And the demoralization, Doug, she's expressing it, and I've heard it. I've heard it from a lot of people. I'm never voting again. Why should I? And if we don't have any explanation for folks as to why some of the and if this Secretary of State it doesn't get to the bottom of it, if we can't have audits and clear explanations and then fix things based on what we find out, people won't vote anymore.
And this is why, and Andrea, what you captured there with your frustration with Bookvar, our Secretary of State, is the reason why, sorry, I was a no vote on her confirmation. Look, I don't play these stupid stump the chump questions that politicians do, people of the other party, and Republicans do this as well. Like, aha! I'm going to get you with this question. I have asked her 3 or 4 times, why are elections, in my experience, more safe and secure in Afghanistan and in Iraq when we supervise them than they are in Pennsylvania? And then I list her why that's a fact. And then, each time I asked these questions, it was 4 times. Twice in person, twice on Zoom. She sat there and blinked. There was a pregnant pause, and then she talked for 10, 15 minutes and said nothing. And I'm like, all I wanted to know is what you're going to do that we're going to have a safe and secure, free and fair election. And she couldn't tell me the basic thing, the most important thing on her job responsibilities.
Andrea, thanks for the call at 877-709-1037, 547. More Colonel on the call next.
Rapid Transit needs your help. They serve some of the most vulnerable in our community, and they need drivers for their vehicles. Mobility changes lives. Be a change and provide a ride. Learn more at rapidtransit.org or call 717-849-0707.
Mask, no mask. Shut down, reopen. We've been too reactive. Let's go proactive and get back to work, worship, and life without worry. Locally operated Legacy Protection has a germ protection application that lasts up to 90 days. Peace of mind for your people. One application, 90 days. Safe around pets, food, and the environment. LegacyProtection.us and your free on-site evaluation, 717-970-3005. 970-3005.
Strict attention to detail. That's what sets Kubota construction equipment apart. It's how we maximize performance, increase strength, and give you the dependability you demand. We engineer our equipment precisely at every level. It's what makes us a leader. Save up to $11,000 on construction equipment or get 0% APR financing for up to 48 months. Now through March 31st, 2021. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Antietam Tractor and Equipment, Hagerstown. Franklin Tractor and Equipment, Chambersburg.
It's got to move from here to there, and you've got to move it. You need a trailer solution for your business, for your fleet, around the house. Finally, you have a choice. Your new trailer solution team, Rex Trailers, 5745 Molly Pitcher Highway. Crystal and Brandon Arthur, neighbors you know, now have your tilt, roll-off, deck-over, and dump trailers to get whatever from here to there at the all-new Rex Trailers. These American-made trailers vary in size and application, plus a service to get the right solution for you and your budget. It has got to move from here to there, and you've got to move it. Rex Trailers is an independent distributor of Texas Pride Trailers and Belmont Trailers. Finally, new trailer solutions direct to you with focused help and service during and after the sale with the all-new Rex Trailers. You're going to save money. RexTrailers.com, 5745 Molly Pitcher Highway. Financing available weekdays 8 to 5, Saturdays 8 to noon. Get your next trailer at Rex Trailers. RexTrailers.com.
Protect your family at home and at the office. Talk with and buy from Top Arms in Waynesboro, NRA certified instructors. With safety, security, and peace of mind first and always. It all starts at hilltoparms.com.
All right, Colonel on the Call show, Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM 550, and Michelle Jansen, Bill DeMoss, Pat Ryan, and State Senator Colonel Doug Mastriano, former instructor at the U.S. Army War College, author, Ph.D., and a decorated colonel in the U.S. Army. Thanks for being here, Doug.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring on Ashley now, who's got a question on censorship. Ashley, it's all yours. You're on with the colonel. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, Senator. It's nice to finally talk to you.
Thank you for calling in. Where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from Bartonsville, Pennsylvania, up in Monroe County.
That is fantastic. Thank you for taking the time.
Bartonsville.
Right up.
All right. Go ahead, Ashley. It's all yours.
I just had a question. about all of this censorship by social media platforms. How do you feel about it? And is the state prepared to do something to defend the people from things like this in the future?
Great question.
Wow, that is a good question. Sadly, at the federal level, they're protected by Section 230 of the U.S. Code, which grants social media platforms this exception from being sued and accountability. At the state level, I am introducing legislation, hopefully this upcoming week here. We're still writing it. But basically, that prohibits Pennsylvania from investing in some of these social media giants, and also to have recourse when they start censoring. So, I've as you know, I disappeared from lives for online for quite some time there because I was prevented and many thousands of people were prevented for I think a 10-day period from talking, having freedom of speech. That's really kind of scary and chilling. I started off my Army career on the Iron Curtain, in West Germany and the East German Czechoslovakian borders with the 2nd Cavalry Regiment. And we are defending against that kind of system where there is one message. In that case, it was a message of Hanukkah in East Germany, and broadcasting only whatever is party approved. Here we have a cultural or ideology approved approach. And if we disagree with your position or even your questions, we're going to prevent you from speaking. And that's really kind of scary, and that's very dangerous. They need to be held accountable. No, United States broke up Bell Telephone in the 80s because there was fear that they had such a monopoly over communications. It was a threat to our republic and freedom of speech and what have you. These social media giants might be at a point where they have to be broken up. And that they would have a successful business model and then defy that same model here doesn't even make business sense.
Ashley, thanks very much for the call. Good question. You get a gold star. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much.
All right, on the Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM, Jansen.
They control the public square. And then the argument was, well, then go start your own. Well, Parler tried to start its own, and they were able to shut them down. So I think the monopoly way of approaching that from the federal government, I think, might be the best way to ensure free speech in the public square.
The other thing, Doug, is to get off the Amazon farms. The radio station has no interest, or our stuff isn't hosted on any of these Amazon farms.
Wow.
So Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, all of those platforms, we're protected from because we're not a slave to Bezos. And it would be very important. I think it's a good question to ask. Who's running the show digitally in this state, and where are those dollars going? And why are you doing business with a Jeff Bezos who will be happy to shut down anybody that disagrees with him? Not Jeff, obviously, metaphorically, but there are forces out there have to be beholden to and shut down when they don't like what we're saying.
Isn't that scary? And so that's the bottom line. This legislation here will say Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars cannot be invested in any social media platform that prohibits, limits, restricts free speech. All
right, a couple more seconds here, 5:54, and we'll see if we can sneak in one more with Doug on Colonel on the Call.
Buy your dream car, be treated like family, and receive real value for your money? Welcome to Hamilton Hyundai. Hi, this is Ken Shreve, and as you may or may not know, vehicles have been winning numerous industry awards for their quality, safety, and low cost to own, and all backed by America's best warranty. But we feel there's more to the equation than just getting a great car. That's where our exclusive Hamilton really shines. Whether you purchase new or pre-owned, never pay for another oil change, tire rotation, or car wash again. At Hamilton Hyundai, we make buying, owning, and maintaining your next vehicle affordable and hassle-free. Everyone needs a dependable vehicle to live their busy lives, and we're here to make your busy life a little bit easier. Visit us today at 2024 Lincoln Way East or at hamiltonhyundai.com.
A ride to dialysis saves lives. A ride to visit a loved one provides quality of life. If you have a heart for service and a regular valid driver's license, apply to be a Rapid Transit driver. Learn more at rapidtransit.org or call 717-849-0707.
With the tax code constantly changing and growing, plus the impact of COVID-19, why trust your personal and business taxes to free software or Errors. The pros at Saunders Tax and Accounting ask the right questions to get the right results. With COVID-safe options, a secure website, and professional tax preparation for every type of return for every state, visit SaundersTax.com. That's SAUNDERS tax.com. Or call 301-714-2071.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Smart shoppers will tell you they found it on HighBid.com. HighBid.com lets you explore thousands of auctions across the U.S. and around the world. You'll find gold coins, sporting goods, classic cars, collectible toys, fine jewelry, household items, and sports memorabilia autographed by the greats. HighBid.com has hundreds of thousands of items for sale every day. It's easy to search and easy to find auctions in your area. Just go to HighBid.com. That's HIBID.com. And see what everyone is talking about.
It's time for a new to you car, truck, SUV. It's time to shop and buy at Jesse James Auto Mart, 4599 Molly Pitcher Highway. Shop your next ride. JesseJamesAutomart.net.
Tri-States News Talk 103.7 FM. Here, Doug, and questions on how are we doing on vaccines here in the state? Your opinion on our immunization and vaccine rollout.
Yeah, it's not going so well, and there's a lot of confusion out there, and that's one of the top, obviously, number one calls we get in my office are about, of course, unemployment claims. This is still an issue 11 months on, 10 months on. On the next one, of course, is the rollout. Some people want to get the vaccine, and it's not going well. And this is on the heels of Secretary Levine, of course, who's now gone. But the whole plan here was predicated on some false assumptions. They've racked and stacked, and I have it on my Senate page of who's priority. Obviously, healthcare workers and those on the front line, and then of course the next group within that are the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions that have a higher risk of a severe reaction to COVID.
Quickly, thumbs up, thumbs down. New Secretary of Health nominee. What do we think?
She's not equipped. We're looking for somebody with actual experience here. So no, I'll end up being a no vote on that.
And Rick has the last word here. Rick, your question real quick. I'm up against the clock. Go ahead.
Hey, Senator.
Hey,
just
Rick.
wondering if any of these election officials could be held on dereliction of duty.
The election.
Seeing how they never even investigated the claims.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, for calling in. So we can run an impeachment on some of Governor Wolf's cabinet if we believe they were derelict in their duties and not following through with investigations. We've had Darrell Metcalf introduce several impeachment articles against Wolf last year, and they were viable, and they didn't go anywhere, and that was a strong case.
Colonel, thank you.
Thank
State
you.
Senator Colonel Doug Mastriano, a colonel on the call here on News Talk 103.
Fox News next from Dick's Home Care. From home oxygen to sleep therapy, beds and bed products, and mobility aids. You turn to Dick's Home Care. 800-472-4352.
WEEO-FM, McConnellsburg. This is the Tri-States. News Talk 103.7 FM. Chambersburg, Hagerstown, Waynesboro.
New hope on the vaccine front. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Another drug company reporting positive results with its COVID vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson says their candidate vaccine shows an overall effectiveness of 66%, though among trial patients in the U.S., it was 72%. It was much lower in South America and South Africa, probably because of the newly emerging strains of the virus. Still, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine showed an 85%